Breaker raises up Gacy. What goes up goes down. Breaker retains.
Here is your winner, and still the NXT champion, Braun Breaker.
We talk about
Holler if you hear me.
On a weekend where WWE is going to send us to hell, NXT puts us in a cell. That's right, Ted. Yesterday, it was NXT In Your House. NXT 2.0. In Your House 2.0. This is NXT Talk 1000.0. I don't even know at this point. I don't know what's going on. We're your hosts as always. I am Boris, and as always, I am joined by the one, the only, the loser in MLB The Show, the Matt.
How are you going to open with that? Bonjour. Good intro, buddy. I think we nailed it. Yeah. So we're a little late recording. Like 20 minutes late from our scheduled time because I was wrapped up in an MLB The Show 22 game that I lost. Boris, thanks for pointing that out.
You loser.
Anyway, we have a little bit of a premium live event here to talk about. It wasn't quite premium. There were two matches worth paying for, I think, on this card.
Here's the thing. I don't know whether it's because I am on quote-unquote vacation. I don't know whether it be the alcohol. I don't know if it's because I am well-rested. But the show wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be.
No, you know what? I think most of the matches over-delivered. There was one match on the show that I thought was bad, but the rest of it was pretty good, and two matches were great. So it was overall a solid show. Confusing stories, confusing booking in some spots, but at the end of the day, I did like the in-ring product. I think there are some, positives to take from this show for sure. It wasn't as bad as I was expecting. That is a good way to put it.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Kudos to the performers. We've been talking about this a lot on NXT, right? Like, I feel horrible for them. They're given such raw material, and they're doing the best they can for the most part. These are green people who are still learning the ropes, quite literally. And sometimes being thrown on the USA Network on a national TV show might be a little nerve-wracking. Add that with the horrible stories, as I said earlier, and quick matches where, how can you put on a compelling match in 3 minutes on TV, right? So the fact that we had 6 matches, all given good amount of time, I was surprised. So kudos to all the performers and kudos to the people behind the scenes at NXT 2.0 for honestly, I'm not going to say captivating me for the full show, but at least, I was sports entertained enough.
Yeah, I was sports entertained, man. And quite frankly, 2.5 hours, not zero commercials, but a low amount of commercials. And if you're watching it on the WWE Network in Canada or the Prime Premium package of Peacock, you get WWE video packages instead of commercials, right? But anyway, a low amount of commercials, under 3 hours. This is way better than an average Raw, right? Significantly better than your average episode of WWE Raw or even SmackDown. So I do think pay-per-views in WWE deliver. I'm excited for Hell in a Cell tonight, and this one delivered. It did.
Yep. It stood and delivered, some would say.
Back out in my house, Boris. It stood and delivered in my house.
Yeah, man. This was a fun show for me. Again, I think it was just the fact that I watched this with my brother, right? It's been so long since we've sat down and watched a pay-per-view or premium live event, whatever you want to call them, pay-per-views. I'm going to be how I call the Skydome still. This will always be pay-per-views to me, so get used to it. I think it was the fact that I sat down with my brother, watched this, and it's kind of like that whole nostalgia kick. So I had fun watching this show and the grand scheme of stuff. But obviously, there are some things we're going to talk about. Some performers who, I think stood up and really showed us where they're at with their development. And, there's a couple matches that I really want to talk about and that I thought were just, not bangers per se, maybe one banger and maybe one knock, knock.
Knocking on the door of greatness. Yeah, we'll give you full match ratings and a breakdown of everything that happened on this show. Boris, did you check out the pre-show at all?
I didn't. I just skipped right into the show, to be 100% honest. So, Matt, did anything of note happen on the pre-show? I guess I would say there were. Hey, did you watch it?
I did, Boris, yes. There were 3 promos of note. It was hosted by your girl, the hardest working reporter in all of WWE, Mackenzie Mitchell, and Sam Roberts, who I think we both have no time for. So Sam was doing his Sam thing. He's all right. He's very much Sam Roberts. But yeah, 3 promos on this pre-show that I thought were worth highlighting. The first, Carmelo Hayes and Trick Williams do a little backstage inset thing, a little split screen with the hosts. I thought it was excellent. They put over Cameron Grimes pretty huge as a talent, as a passionate fighter, but it doesn't matter who is up against Carmelo Hayes because he is the A champion and he's going to go get his belt back. And both guys did excellent. I thought that was the best thing on the pre-show by a wide margin, Boris.
Very cool. Very cool. Yeah, that's something that I was going to note, actually, and we'll talk about later, was how even Wade Barrett was really putting Cameron Grimes over as a performer. And it was something to note, right? Like, it's something that I noticed throughout the entire match. But we'll talk about that later. All right. Before we get into the main show, there's one last piece of business we have to take care of. That is our rating system du jour. What are you thinking, Matt?
Well, we should do something house related, even something as silly as like eaves troughs or sidewalks or driveways or something.
Here's what I'm thinking. Hear me out. Hear me out on this one, bro. It's NXT 2.0. It's in your house. Not the best. It's not takeover quality. So we're going to call them fixer-uppers.
It's a fixer-upper. I like it, Boris. I like where your head's at. Clearly watching a lot of Reno reality shows. I know your taste in television.
Watching a lot of Home Improvement.
Before we do go on, though, I want to touch on the other 2 promos in the pre-show. You just blew past my pre-show report, Boris. So there was a diamond mine little thing where Roderick Strong was training backstage. Ivy Nile goes up to him and she's basically like, "Hey, Roderick, you weren't serious about the whole thing, right? The whole like kicking people out thing." And he was like, "No, I'm dead serious. If the Creed brothers don't win, they're out. That's how it's going down. What I say, I mean." And then the Creed brothers came in. They had a little retort. And Julius slapped Roderick on the chest really hard and said, "We'll see you later, boss," with a little bit of tension there. But then Damon Kemp, to squash the beef, put Roderick Strong in a little bit of a headlock. I gave him a little pat on the back and said, "They're ready." So that was pretty, a little bit of character development for Diamond Mine. Also, Edris Enofe and Malik Blade came out in front of the live crowd. Crowd loved Malik Blade. They were chanting sweater vest and sweater related chants the whole time. Edris Enofe, super extra, super energetic, really doing the majority of the talking. Malik Blade is the quiet guy wearing the sweater vest. This was okay too.
Oh, I can come back?
I'm ready, Boris.
All right, so that's pretty cool. I like that the crowd was pretty hot throughout the entire show.
Yeah, definitely so, man. The NXT crowd has been showing up for these shows lately, and it's appreciated as a viewer from home in my house.
In the house. All right, so the intro was very WWF In Your House themed, which is kind of ironic considering no Todd Pettingill. That was of note outside of the intro. Joe Gacy acting all creepy with his 2 druids holding sledgehammers for some reason, takes a Zippo lighter, lights the In Your House logo on fire. This sends us straight into the first match, which was my boys, Legado del Fantasma, making their entrance. The crowd absolutely loved them.
For the final time, Boris? Question mark. Is this the end? My only friend, the end of Legado del Fantasma? Or have we seen the final match for the trio?
As a trios, I'm thinking, because I have a feeling something's going to end up happening where Escobar gets the boot.
Oh, no. So, yeah, this match was interesting. It was actually, I thought it was a pretty solid little trios match, all things considered. They it was pretty clearly choreographed as some of these matches are. You could tell it's very new performers, but they put together a good match, pretty entertaining. I liked the finish, except for the actual last 4 or 5 seconds of this match, which we will get into. But what do you think about this one, man?
I really like this match. Like I was telling my brother, you just Legado kicked and screamed D'Angelo, Two Dimes, and Stacks into a half decent match. The crowd was firmly behind Legado. I love that. And again, here's the thing. I have to say it just because it was brought up while I was watching the show. My brother turns to me and says, "Who are the faces?"
That's a really good question. I think officially this was heel versus heel. If you'd had to say one, maybe it was Legado, but this is a heel program.
Not that it matters in the grand scheme of stuff, but when there's odds and everything, it's just kind of weird that it's two heels. This isn't SummerSlam '92, Martel and HBK, right? Like,
yeah, man, it's gotten a lot of TV time for this heel versus heel program. Like over the space of the last few months, they've been focusing on it and carving out a lot of the NXT 2.0 program to tell us this story, which has really kind of been confusing and weird and unsatisfying. Like, for example, why would the loser ever want to work with the winner? Why would they ever agree to do anything? Why would they not just instantly turn on them and screw with them at every twist and turn?
I think that's what we're going to end up seeing. I think that's the outcome, right? Because I think that ultimately the losers are going to be the errand boys of the winners, and they're going to end up screwing with them.
I guess so. I think that's probably how it plays out. But yeah, just a silly story, but they did put together a good little opening match.
And I agree with you. The last couple seconds of this match was a little, The other question I have for you is, do you know which one is Two Dimes and which one is Stacks yet?
Yes, I think I had it wrong. I think Two Dimes is the one with the chin strap.
That's it. That's him.
Yes.
Yep.
Right?
You're correct.
And then, and Stacks is the one who looks bald because he wears the hat, but he actually is not bald. He also has hair.
Yep, that's exactly it. All right, so the match was Legado del Fantasma, Santos Escobar, Joaquin Wilde, and Cruz del Toro versus Tony D'Angelo, Troy Two Dimes Donovan, and Channing Stacks Lorenzo.
Channing Stacks Lorenzo. Yes, the losing team must join the winning team's Familia Boris. And yeah, like we said, pretty solid match. A modern style trios match. They tried to pack a lot of action into this, and they succeeded.
Yep. One of the things of note was just, kudos to Escobar and even Tony D'Angelo. They were telling their own story throughout the entire match, right? Like, they just wanted a piece of each other, ignoring what's going on in the ring, wanting each other. That these guys don't like each other. Commentary was, I'm going to make this note right now. Commentary was an A+ throughout the entire show.
I would actually disagree with that. There were a couple things, which is more WWE Productions' fault than NXT's fault. But specifically in the North American title match, let's circle back to this. I want to give him an A+. But they did. It was fine overall. But just WWE, the WWE production and style and the way they call certain moves, we'll cross that bridge when we come to it.
Yeah, but I think that they did a great job of telling the stories, helping move stories forward. So this is, like you said, this was a typical trios match. Tons going on. At one point, Escobar hits D'Angelo with a Hurricanrana. And he hits him with a Gamangiri. We see Escobar hit D'Angelo with a top rope axe handle. Wilde and Mendoza took down Stacks 2 times with dives. Escobar took down D'Angelo with the arrow from the depths. That's what they call that move. At one point, Dimes hit Del Toro with a forearm. Del Toro came back with a slingshot drop kick. Dimes avoids a Phoenix splash. Stacks and 2 times hit Del Toro with stereo punches. Wilde and Mendoza hit the other goon with the leg sweep finisher, but we get a very close 2-pin. Another thing to note that I really enjoyed was the fact that the referee kind of cleared the ring of any crowbars and stuff before the match started. So both teams are trying to recover. We get a awesome little 6-man brawl that the crowd just went just crazy for D'Angelo and Escobar took each other out with stereo lariats. Elektra Lopez hands Escobar brass knuckles. Lorenzo handed D'Angelo a crowbar. Wilde stole the crowbar, knocks out Stacks. D'Angelo stole the knuckles, knocks out Wilde. Stacks falls on Wilde for the pin at 12 minutes, 45 seconds. So Stacks, 2 dimes, and Tony D'Angelo defeat Legado del Fantasma, and that's that.
Yeah, so to circle back to this finish here, so my God, Stacks gets hit with this pipe, with this I believe it was actually a crowbar, but anyway, he got hit with this thing, and Stacks is knocked out standing up in the corner. And then when Wilde gets hit and he gets knocked out, Stacks is still unconscious in the corner. So Stacks' partner, 2 dimes, Boris, pushes Stacks over. And on paper, I like the idea for this finish. Like, unconscious dude just planks on to young Joaquin Wilde, and that's that. But in reality, he didn't really look. He didn't really watch what he was doing. He actually pretended he was unconscious and just flopped, and in the process landed directly on Joaquin Wilde's face. And that's like a very, you can tell that's like a new wrestler, a green wrestler. Like, you gotta protect your opponent a little better than that. Like, he just planked directly onto this man's face. That could have been really bad. Yep,
I agree with that. Yeah, exactly. But again, it just speaks to the greenness of these guys, right? I also think that like just the positioning of the pin could have been better, especially for like a TV thing, right? Like, I feel like for the presentation of it all, they really should have cleaned that up. But, you know, I think we're nitpicking for the sake of nitpicking at this point.
Yeah, overall, I did enjoy that match. I just, that struck out like that. That was a pretty dangerous little finish there, which should not have been. But other than that, good match overall. I'm going to go 3 fixer-uppers out of 5, Boris. It is a 60% Tim the Toolman Taylor percentage.
Love it. Alba Fire Vignette aired. She talked about how her heritage was from the legendary warrior women in Scotland. She talked about invoking the spirits of her ancestors. She acknowledged not having too much success in WWE so far, but now she's becoming the fire keeper. And then she said, where there's smoke, there's fire with a Y.
Yes, with a Y. It's hard to not to feel like the entire NXT UK run, the entire amazing title run she had wasn't a complete waste. You know what I mean? Like, a complete and total waste. They're actually telling the story that she struggled so far in WWE. What? I know the story is she struggled since she came over to 2.0, but make that more clear. Not that she struggled since she come to WWE. Are you crazy? This is a record-setting women's champion, right? Like, I don't know. They should pay more attention to what they've done in UK, but they should do a lot of things, Boris.
At the same time, I'm okay with them not acknowledging UK because that means that UK doesn't exist to them, which means UK can be left alone.
That's a really good point. UK can be safe and sound in the corner over there, hopefully, yes.
So we get a bunch of developmental women watching the vignette with Lash Legend, Tatum Paxley, and Lash Legend have a, as they say in the wrestling business, war of words.
Yes, we also saw Sloane Jacobs and Erica Yan, among others, back there. So cool to see some people who will hopefully be getting some more television time on 2.0.
Yep. We see Braun Breaker. He's shown entering the Performance Center. We get Kaden Carter and Katana Chance to get their full-on raver entrance. Toxic Attraction were shown in the garage coming out of a car driven by Mandy Rose. Good timing. Good timing on showing up to work, ladies. Toxic Attraction make their entrance. Vic Joseph brought up the possibility of Toxic Attraction all losing their titles on this show. Alicia Taylor, who they don't even put on camera anymore. That's just ridiculous how they do these entrances now. She handles the quote-unquote formal ring entrances for the championship matches. Toxic Attraction jumped the baby faces before the bell, and this leads us into the second match of the night, which was for the NXT Women's Tag Team Championship. Toxic Attraction, Gigi Dolan and JC Jane versus Katana Chance. Katana Chance.
Yes.
One more time. Katana Chance and Kaden Carter.
Yes. So I was pretty shocked at the winner here. I think the wrong team won. It was time to change the titles. They did not pull the trigger. I thought this match was way, way, way better than it had any right to be. Like, this was
Same
the
here.
best performance. This is
By
the best
far.
performance. That I can remember Gigi specifically having. Gigi looked confident. She looked like she wanted to be there. Maybe for the first time, honestly, since she's joined Toxic Attraction, she looked like she wanted to be on screen, in my opinion. Like, and JC Jane had a good night too. Kaden Carter and Katana Chance are both really, really good. I think it stood out to me in this match that Kaden Carter is a solid wrestler, easily the best wrestler in this match. Katana Chance is the most spectacular high flyer, and she could become a brilliant wrestler, but she's still all flips right now. That's all she is flips. Kaden Carter's a really good wrestler and was the best wrestler in this match. I thought this match was good.
Yeah, this match, exactly. You said it best, man. There's nothing else I can add to this because my sentiments are exactly in line with yours. So at one point, Kaden Carter manages to catch Jane with a diamond cutter on the apron, which looked pretty
Nice spot.
nasty, but good at the same time. It looks safe, right? Like there's times when moves on the apron, and there was another one in the North American title match where
Yes.
you can sell the devastation of being hit on the hardest part of the ring without fucking breaking your neck on the hardest part of the ring.
Exactly. And this was, it's supposed to be fake, guys. Like, you're not supposed to actually like hurt each other for real. And this was a very nice wrestling move. The RKO, Arcaden O on the apron.
Don't drop that. Don't ever say that again. Dolan and Chance traded for. I'm joking. Dolan and Chance. I'm still pissed off at that you lost at MLB. So I'm gonna be poking you here and
You're
there.
mad.
Dolan and Chance traded forearms and chops. Chance hit Dolan with a kick combo and did a moonsault off Dolan's back onto the back for a 2 count. Looked a little rough. Loved the idea of this move.
Yeah.
Execution a little rough. I did like, however, that Vic Joseph does point out that she didn't catch the whole move. Chance and Carter hit their 450 finisher on Dolan. Jane dragged Chance and Carter to ringside to prevent the pin. Carter knocked down Jane. Carter rolled up Dolan for a 2 count. Jane punches Carter from ringside as she hits the ropes. Then Dolan hits Carter with a German suplex with a beautiful looking bridge. That's something that Gigi Dolan's always done well, but this one just looked really good. They get the win. Toxic Attraction win in 9 minutes and 1 second to retain the NXT Women's Tag Team Championships.
So, I would like to, minor correction, perhaps I'm wrong, but by my eyes, it looked like a half Nelson suplex that Gigi Dolan spiked Kaden on her head for. It was a good bump there for sure, but I do think the ref kind of fucked up because I don't think Caden's shoulder was ever on the mat. I think the shoulder was up here, Boris, and they could actually work that into the storyline, and they should work that into the storyline. Blown call here by the official. But as we have said before, it is fake, and this was a good showing by the ladies. I thought by far the best Gigi Dolan has looked in NXT by a wide margin. Kaden Carter looked great. Katana Chance looked great. And JC Jane looked pretty good, too. So at least 3 fixer-uppers out of 5. Above average match. Good job by the NXT women's division here.
Yep. Kit Wilson and Elton Prince, Pretty Deadly, were acting, well, I guess goofy is one way to put it. Awesome is how I would put it. I love these two, dude. I've been singing their praise since we started watching NXT UK regularly. Seeing these guys stateside, being the same characters, essentially being the new Edge and Christian. I'm digging this so much. They'd sing about how they're going to beat the Creeds and how they don't like the Creeds and they're better than the Creeds. And then the camera cuts to the Creed brothers sparring with each other as brothers do.
It's a little bit of Edge and Christian, little bit of, the Fashion Police, little model Rick Martel. It's like more serious than the Fashion Police, but still very willing to be goofy. And they're tall, young, good-looking guys like Edge and Christian. But yeah, I really like Pretty Deadly a lot. A perfect WWE tag team. They could be 10-time WWE tag team champions, feuding with the Usos for generations. Perfect opponents for the New Day.
Yep, exactly. I think that would be great. All right, so North American Championship time. Cameron Grimes versus Carmelo Hayes with Trick Williams.
match of the show, Boris. By far, I would say.
This
safely.
match,
Maybe not by far, but like safely match of the show.
Safely match of the show. Here's the thing about this match. It wasn't a spot fest. It told a fantastic story. It was a relatively technical match. And Carmelo Hayes' seriousness really stood out to me because this is a guy who, he's kind of goofy, right? But throughout the entire match,
he could be a little bombastic. He can be a little comedic. But yeah, this was a hard fought, like you said, somewhat scientific battle. But they're both such incredible athletes that you did still get awesome high spots.
Yep, exactly. And that's the thing. I really like that mix, right? Like, it just goes to show you that you don't have to be a spot fest to be a good match. You don't have to have 1,000 close pins to be a good match. You can still tell a good story. You can still be scientific. You can still do your razzle dazzle and it be a good match. And this is a perfect example of that. Honestly, Cameron Grimes, Carmelo Hayes, just awesome match.
Tore the house down. The house down. We'll be lucky if there's a better match than this on Hell in a Cell, honestly. And it's debatable. I'm thinking about it. This match may have been better than the fabulous match on NXT UK last week, which we will talk about on NXT Talk next time we do that podcast. But yeah, man, so lots of good matches happening in NXT, especially NXT UK. But these guys really, really delivered. A parallel that I would draw, just to what you were just talking about, like if it's a pure spot fest, it can be like thrilling, and exciting. But this match that we just saw was better than, for example, Dante Martin versus Rey Fenix, right? Where they were doing all those incredible moves and all those incredible flips and spots and dives. Would you not say that this match was much better than that?
I agree with you 100%. Dude, I'm going to go out on a limb. Might catch heat because apparently Boris hates AEW. This match was better than the Bucks, Phoenix and Penta from Friday.
Oh, I haven't seen that yet, but that is bold because people are loving that match. But yeah, this was a great wrestling match. Just under 15 minutes by my timer. Tons of great action.
We see a second rope Spanish fly, which was so well executed. Yeah, I don't think people realize how hard this must have been to pull off. When someone's already on the second rope, Cameron Grimes jumps on the second rope. They balance each other well enough to do a Spanish fly. There's a bunch of back and forth. We get a PK from the apron, which was essentially a DDT, and this is the second apron spot that I wanted to bring up because, again, looked safe. Just because you're on the quote-unquote hardest part of the ring doesn't mean you have to break your neck, a la Will Ospreay.
Absolutely, yeah. Okay, so that Spanish fly that you mentioned, so they weren't even on the turnbuckle. They were on the middle part of the rope.
In the middle of the rope.
Yeah, exactly. In the middle of the middle rope, facing the hard camera. And it was like a reverse Spanish fly set up as though it was going to be a Russian leg sweep. Exactly. But they did a front flip. They both did a double moonsault out of a Russian leg sweep position, balancing on the middle rope. It was basically like a lion salt kind of situation. It was insane. Crazy move. Also, Boris, this apron bump. This is why I just, and it's more WWE than it is Vic Joseph, but this is why I can't say it was A+ commentary, because God, WWE commentary bugs me so much. Cameron Grimes gets spiked on the top of his head with a DDT. It looks grotesque. It looks like Cameron Grimes is dead. And Vic Joseph goes, "Oh, stuck the landing on that one." And it's just like Jim Ross would have spontaneously combusted in his chair. By God, he's broken in half, Boris. It would have been insane. But this was just like, it was just like, oh, ho hum, body slam. You know what I mean? It's just like, WWE. Like, why not let your announcers be passionate and call the insane action happening in front of you?
But we can't hold that on Vic Joseph and Wade Barrett.
And I don't, but it's like -1 for WWE commentary, not WWE commentators.
So commentary, not A+.
I'll take it. I will take that. This match, great.
All right, Mello hits Grimes with a code breaker for a 2 count. Grimes dodges a scissors kick, blocks a code breaker. Grimes then hits Mello with a Spanish fly power slam for a 2 count. Mello used a pump kick to block a cave-in, which of note, I love the fact that, there were times when Mello just got out of a cave-in, and just the face he made was just awesome storytelling. And was well, Grimes hit Mello with a poison rana, Grimes hit Trick and Mello with a flip dive. Grimes then hit Trick William with a cave-in on the apron, which again looks very safe. Mello backdrops Grimes on the top turnbuckle, and then he hits Grimes with his top rope scissors kick for the win in 15 minutes, 30 seconds to become the new NXT North American champion.
Yeah, I actually had it at 14 minutes 55, but yeah, anyway, it's totally fine. Just right around that 15-minute mark. Fabulous wrestling match. Always a tough bump to just take a straight flat back, but like you said, very safe with the old cave-in on the apron that Trick Williams took. That was like looked good, but like you said, safe. And man, just a fabulous wrestling match. No shorter, no less than 4 1/4 fixer uppers, 85%, solid A, but not an A+. Boris.
Yep. Yeah, I agree with you 100%. All right. Show cuts to Wendy Chu having a dream. She has the dream sequence of all the times she trolled Toxic Attraction. She somehow looked into her dream. Now, in her dream, she won the belt. Chu wakes up at the top of the stage. We get her entrance. Mandy Rose makes her entrance by herself. Again, she's been champion for 220 days. We get the formal in-ring intros, and this leads us into the NXT Women's Championship match. Mandy Rose, Wendy Chu. Matt, what did you think?
Didn't like it. I thought this match was bad. God bless Wendy Chu, but it just didn't quite click. There was a moment where Wendy Chu tried to pull the straps down Jerry Lawler style and get out of her windbreaker onesie, but she couldn't get her sleeve off. It was just one of those nights. It was just, just felt like
I'm going to stop you right there. I think you hate Wendy Chu so much. This match is similar to the other Toxic Attraction match, where this match had zero reason to be half decent.
But you thought it was good. You actually thought it delivered.
It was good. I thought it was half decent. Big difference, my friend.
I thought it was pretty bad. I do, again, let's be clear. I don't dislike Wendy Chu, the performer.
You do.
I think she's no, I don't.
No,
I think
you
do. No, that's wrong. And I will not be trolled.
You have never given her any credit. You always say she's good, but any match she's in, you crap on the match.
Well, because the character sucks and it dominates the match. That's the way it is, man. It's just like if you think Orange Cassidy's matches are terrible, you're gonna if you think the gimmick is terrible and it's so strong in the matches, you're gonna hate every one of his matches.
I hate Orange Cassidy, the character, but I am unbiased enough to say,
it's not biased.
This match was half decent.
But this match was not. It was bad. It was bad.
Saying it was
when
good,
Wendy
but
Chu
it's not
has
as
a
bad
good
as
one,
you're saying it is.
When she has a good one, buddy, I'll tell you. I'll let you know.
I'm going to remember this. I'm going to remember this because you have never talked anything positive about any Wendy Chu match.
Not the matches. You can tell she's good in the matches, but this wasn't a good match. You can tell that she is talented, but it just didn't click. It just didn't come together. I don't know.
I'm going to 100% disagree with you on this one.
Oh, well, we can't agree on all of them, buddy. That's fine. But yeah, yep. So Rose, do you want to talk about the finish, or do you want to talk about what you enjoyed?
This match was relatively basic, right? Like you said earlier, this match was one of those matches that seemed extremely choreographed in the sense that they really laid out the plan for the match. So Chu puts Rose on a body scissors into a rear naked choke with the nap pose, the camera kind of screwed up, really showing that. Rose rolls to the bottom rope for the rope break. Chu caught Rose with a full Nelson slam. Rose recovered and pulled Chu off the top rope. Rose then catches Chu with a running knee V-trigger for the finish. And Mandy Rose defeats Wendy Chu via pinfall in round 11 minutes.
Yeah, so I don't know if I missed it before, but I think they called the finish "Kiss by a Rose." Or maybe that was just Wade or Vic being cute, but I think that's the finish now. That's what the V trigger is called. The Kissed by a Rose. Shout out Seal. I love it. So yeah, I thought this was okay. Like you said, they worked hard. They did. I didn't think this was terrible. There's way worse on 2.0. But was it a good wrestling match?
See, you're already backtracking. You're already backtracking.
I'm not backtracking.
You're
this
backtracking.
is exactly what I thought.
Oh my God.
This is exactly what I thought all along. It's my classic good effort, bad wrestling match rating. I say it like almost every week. There are terrible matches on 2.0. This wasn't terrible. Was it below average? Yes. 2 out of 5. Slight fail. It was not a good wrestling match, in my opinion. But, that's why we're here. We just give our takes.
Well, unlike, what's not backtracking? The hardest working reporter in all of professional wrestling, Mackenzie Mitchell, interviewing Tiffany Stratton and Roxanne Perez about Tuesday's breakout tournament finals. Both women trash talk each other. Perez talks about how Stratton was given all of her opportunities while Perez fought for hers. Stratton yells at Mackenzie, walks off, and that was that.
Stratton was screaming in this promo. You have a microphone. You don't need to yell. And I realize that I've yelled a couple times, but that's for effect. She was yelling like that just then. She was yelling the entirety of this promo. It was distracting, but good job. Good job overall. Good job by Roxanne. I actually am kind of excited for this match on Tuesday.
And I think, it's funny that you say it because I noticed that too. I think one of the classes at the Performance Center needs to be microphone handling 101.
Yes, microphone technique, man.
Absolutely.
At least like, yeah, right? Man. Yeah, yes, we have. The first couple live promos, these people are so amped up that they're screaming, and you don't need to do that. Like, yeah, microphone technique, even just a day.
Yep. All right, we get a video showing the timeline of the Creed brothers' life. Made me feel old, considering that they were born in 94 and 96. We see the timeline from childhood to college to WWE. Julius and Brutus making their entrances. The Creeds wore yellow singlets that were killing my eyes. Their parents were front row. Pretty Deadly get their old slow motion John Morrison entrance. Wade Barrett did say that these guys were 2 pieces of hot British beef.
Quite the line. Yeah, so a very good wrestling match here. Quite enjoyed it. Like you said, the highlighter singlets were not a highlight for for the Diamond Mine. But yeah, it was cool. The Diamond Mine's parents, the Creed Mama and Creed Papa, live in the front row. Actually, at one point, Daddy was giving Julius coaching tips mid-match, which I thought was pretty clever.
Yep, exactly. You know what it reminded me of? It reminded me of the 1,001 times that Stu was in the crowd for a Brett match.
Great call. Yeah, it definitely had that vibe.
Yeah, and I mean that in the most respectful way. Like, I always loved it. It added something to it, right?
100%. Yeah, and it made it feel like a big moment, although it did kind of telegraph the finish a little bit. But that's fine. It was time.
It did, but it was one of those,
that's pro wrestling.
It built up to it, right? Like, and I like that.
Yeah, exactly. You knew it was coming, but that's okay. Like, sometimes you know how a movie's gonna end, and then you watch it, and the ending is satisfying, and that's what this was.
Yep. So Pretty Deadly isolates Julius. Julius puts a valiant fight, but Julius is getting his ass kicked, and I love the fact that it's always Julius, right? Like, to me, it makes sense that when Brutus gets in the ring, he is gonna go beefcake on everyone. You like that one?
A lot of people, I do. I see what you did there. A lot of people think Brutus is like not only better, but way better. I'm still in camp Julius. I think Brutus has a lot of potential and he might get to be better, but he's still like a bull in a china shop. He's still dropping people on their head in suplexes. And I think Julius is a better wrestler, but Brutus has a higher ceiling as a wrestler. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. I agree with you 100%. I think that Brutus is going to be a star on his own level. I think he's going to be like honestly, a Bam Bam Bigelow-esque wrestler.
Huh. That's a weird comparison, but
I think he can move.
I kind of see it. It's kind of interesting. I like that he's moved the Brutus ball from a dive to the outside to a dive in the ring so he can just like land in the ring and not kill himself. That's exactly. A good idea.
I love the Brutus ball. Like, there's something also scary about. Can you imagine taking this move, seeing a almost 300-pound ball coming at you?
Literally a 300-pound ball.
Like, so there's something about Darby Allin doing a coffin drop where it's like, oh, it's fucking Darby Allin, 150 pounds soaking wet.
I'm sure it sucks when he lands on you because he's landing on you with all of his weight. But like you said, all of his weight is 165 pounds. Brutus is a good 260, 265, 270, I would say. Maybe a little lighter, but he's a big, thick lad, right?
Yep.
Like,
So Brutus gets the hot tag after a very creative flip from Julius, from Prince. Brutus just suplexes Prince to knock Wilson off the apron. Brutus hits Prince with a gut-wrench suplex. He hits Prince with a top rope cannonball drop. Wilson broke up the pin with a Shining Wizard. Brutus hit Kit with a Saito suplex. Prince tossed the title. So it took me a second to realize what they were trying to do with this end. And I actually ended up liking it more on the replay than live because it seemed very awkward at first. And this is, screw WWE production, right? So the camera, so Prince tosses the title. It goes right through everyone, ends up right underneath Julius. He retrieves and picks up the belt. He's staring at it like it's the bell that Roddy Piper is staring at WrestleMania 8. The camera then focuses on Julius's dad saying, no, and he's shaking his head. He's telling Julius not to take the dirty win. Julius decides to not cheat. He gets Brutus body slams Wilson. Julius then climbs to the top rope, does a shooting star press. Julius hit Wilson with his basement lariat. Creed brothers defeat Pretty Deadly via pinfall in 15 minutes, 15 seconds to win the NXT Tag Team Championship and keep their spot in the Diamond Mine Gym.
Yes, sir. For now, because that whole pre-show situation kind of seemed like they were ready to leave on their own, perhaps with Ivy Nile kind of babyface, perhaps the Diamond Mine Wolf Pack, if you will, Boris.
Diamond yours.
I thought this was, other than the North American title match, I thought this was pretty dang great. The second best match on the show. And man, like a great moment. They a full-on babyface celebration with their parents, new champions, stars are born. What more do you want out of pro wrestling, right? So it was. They're still, like I said, bulls in a china shop. They're still very much bulls in a china shop. That shooting star press, eat shit, Brock Lesnar. This big human being pulls off the shooting star press, actually does it. Yeah, man, I really liked it. 4 fixer-uppers out of 5, 80%. It's an A-, but it's a solid wrestling match. Great showing from these 4 gentlemen.
Agreed 100%. Now, a couple things I wanted to bring up. Number one, Kit Wilson should have done more of a job of saying, "Oh no, the belt," right? Like, I think he should have overacted because he kind of just went for the belt, missed it, and that was that, right? I think that he should have had some more of a reaction to really sell the fact that they were going to cheat at this point.
It's a good call. I agree with that.
Number 2, in a loss, Pretty Deadly looks so damn good right now.
Oh, man, they're ready for the main roster. There's nothing more they can learn. There's nothing more they need to know from NXT. They've already won the tag team titles. They should be on Raw or SmackDown next week.
All right, Matt, I think you and I can both agree that this next match was the match that had the worst setup, the match that we were looking forward to the least. And unfortunately, it was your main event and your NXT Championship contest.
Yes. So what ended up happening was what we predicted. By the time the match gets in the ring, they're going to give them 15 to 20 minutes. Both guys are going to work really hard, take a lot of pride, and it's going to be a very good match. And that's exactly what happened. They worked hard. They had an awesome layout to this thing. There was a crazy table bump near the end that Joe Gacy could not recover from ultimately. And I thought this was just a very good match, cleverly laid out with the stipulation, but the story sucked. From day one, it was terrible. It was nonsensical. Nobody cared about the if you could get disqualified, you could lose the title stipulation. Like the story they told, they backed themselves into a corner and they painted themselves back out of it. But just not something you need to go out of your way to see.
Yeah, but kudos to both guys. It's exactly like you said, exactly what we thought was going to happen, that they were going to prove the naysayers aka WWE management and writers, wrong. And they had a good showing out there. Braun Breaker versus Joe Gacy for the NXT Championship. If Braun gets DQ'd, he loses the title. That's essentially the story that they're going with. And, you know, Joe Gacy, this guy's got something in terms of that understanding of more than just the action in the ring. His mannerisms, his facial expressions, just everything. Like even how he was like, you know, later in the match when he's trying to get Braun Breaker to hit him with a chair, as right before he picks up the chair, you know, he's tapping the chair, rubbing the chair, like, hey, focus on this. This is the prop that's gonna, like, you know, be at play any second now.
Yeah, absolutely. And you mentioned facial expressions. There's a new Joe Gacy move. I believe he debuted for the first time on this show here, where similar to the Zack Ryder broski boot, he runs from one corner to the other and hits a downed opponent with a strike, right? But his strike is it's like a flying elbow to the seated opponent in the corner, and then when he hits that elbow, he does a crazy Bray Wyatt-esque stare into the camera, and that's like so WWE in a nutshell. You can just hear Bruce Pritchard absolutely creaming his pants over that one, but that is exactly what WWE wants, and Joe Gacy's got that whole character thing down. So
yep.
Joe Gacy's, I hate how it just has become Undertaker spooky overnight. But you can't really hate on the performer. Joe Gacy's talented.
Yeah, this is a Bray Wyatt all over again, right? It's like you love Bray Wyatt. He's such a talented guy. Just same with Joe Gacy. It sucks, man. It sucks. I hate the position that they put these guys in. All right, so Breaker hits Gacy with a lariat. Breaker then hits Gacy with tackle. He tackles him in the ring. Gacy goes from the apron, backs right into the announce table, and I'm pretty sure that Gacy got like some PTSD from CZW.
I could definitely see that.
Breaker then starts punching Gacy, and then he hits Gacy with the Steiner Bulldog for a 2 count. Breaker then picks up the chair that Gacy was asking for him to do throughout the entire sequence. This was the sequence that I loved. Breaker picks up the chair, but then he drops it. Gacy hits Breaker with a low blow for a 2 count. Breaker then teases hitting Gacy with said chair yet again. But instead, he hits a druid that was standing on the apron. At this point, Gacy goes for his handstand lariat. Breaker blocks it with a spear. He then hits him with the military press power slam for the victory. Dude, that last sequence was so fluid in the grand scheme of stuff.
Actually, like, yeah, the finish adds like a half star to this match because the finish was actually beautiful. Although someone pointed out on the SNME Facebook, and I'm sorry, I can't remember who off the top of my head, but the springboard was like, why was Joe Gacy going for the springboard then? Braun was nowhere near him, and that is a fair point.
Why? Because he knew he was going to turn around, right?
Yes, but that's why Braun had enough room to go full speed and spear him because he was nowhere close. So that is an excellent point by whoever pointed that out. But the spear that Breaker hit Gacy with here was up there on the best. Like, it was like a 8.59 on the Goldberg scale. Like, it was up there with Goldberg spearing Christian, up there with Goldberg spearing the absolute pants off of Little Guido at the Royal Rumble.
Yes.
Not quite that good, but near that level. Like, he smashed this man with this spear.
But also, here's the thing, right? Like, kudos to Gacy as well, because this guy does his springboard, stops, makes it look like he's going to do the lariat, but he's actually getting himself ready to eat a spear that's going to break his bowels, right?
Yes,
like,
yes, a devastating spear that absolutely fucking vaporized this man. Yes,
like if he didn't shit his pants in the ring, like he must have.
So yeah. I just thought it was like a really good match, man. Especially with the finish, that table bump. Like they picked up a lot at the end. This was a ball that rolled downhill, and by the time the match was over, I thought it was pretty damn good and a satisfying conclusion to this show. Please, for the love of God, let this story be done forever. For the love of God, let it be done, and then we're okay. We're okay.
Yep. So Braun Breaker ends up winning. He's still your champ. All right. So that was the show in a nutshell. Dude, here's the thing. We've seen some pretty takeovers. We've seen some pretty premium live events. We've seen some pretty TV specials from NXT 2.0. Actually, the TV specials have been okay. But this show, I had such low expectations. A pessimist is never disappointed, and this proves that yet again, because like I said, maybe it's because I was drinking beer, maybe it's because I was watching with my brother, maybe because it was a change of scenery. I don't know what it was. I'm gonna say I like this show.
Yeah, man. Overall, I would say I liked it too. And we disagree on the women's title match, but if you like the women's title match, really there was nothing to dislike at all on this show. And like I said, the best part of this thing, it's shorter and better than any WWE Raw episode that you will watch. Your basic run-of-the-mill WWE Raw is like 4 or 5 out of 10. This was like 6, 7, maybe more. I liked it a lot.
Exactly. All right, Matt. So that's essentially the show. We have a busy day. The flagship show is going to come at you soon with Mike McGuire, Dave Meltzer, and company chatting and previewing Hell in a Cell. Then later on today, it is Hell in a Cell. Right after the show, it is going to be the after party. I am going to send out the Zoom links for the patrons. You can be a patron and be part of the show. Just go to patreon.com/SNME Radio. You'll have your say. You'll be able to participate. If you're not a patron and you're listening to this, you can still watch the after party on YouTube. There is a chat. It's a little less monitored, but we still try to add a couple comments here and there from the chat that's going on. But the best way to participate is by being a patron. It just costs $5 a month. You get one wrestling show a day, just like this one. Maybe even better sometimes. But yeah, that's a pretty busy day that we have here on SNME Radio.
Yes, sir. So a couple things from myself as we close this out. Just to put a fine point on the podcast and give the final rating, the NXT Championship match, Breaker over Gacy, 3 3/4 fixer-uppers. It's a 75% Al Borland percentage, Boris. NXT 2.0 on Tuesday features the NXT Breakout Tournament Finals. Tiffany Stratton versus Roxanne Perez. Also, Boris, we're getting your boy Josh Briggs versus nobody's boy Von Wagner. And Alba Fire versus Tatum Paxley is on that show as well. So that's coming up next Tuesday. NXT UK is firing on all cylinders. Last 2 weeks have been incredible. Last 2 weeks have had match of the year contenders. So watch NXT UK if you're not. That's a good show. You don't have to watch Level Up. That is not a good show. And that's where we're at with NXT 2.0, baby.
Yep, that's where we're at. Like I always say, this is NXT Talk, where we chat about NXT stateside, UK, and we even level up sometimes. I hope you like the show. Let us know what you think. Let us know what you thought. Let us know what you're thinking. Let us know whatever you want to let us know. And just remember, it's a busy day. We'll catch everyone a little later as we chat all things Hell in a Cell. He's Matt. I'm Boris. Everyone, stay tranquilo.
Yeah.